I'm just getting myself all set up here. Hope everyone's having a good, is it Thursday? Yes, Throwback Thursday night. I'm just going to check that I'm live in the group and facing the right way for you all. Looks like it. Okay, good. I'm just going to turn my sound on for a second to make sure things are working okay. Yeah. Expand the screen. Oops, that's not what I want to do. I do that every time. Expand the screen. Oops, that's not what I want to do. There we go. Okay. This keeps popping up because it's not supposed to. It's a card that actually folds out. So if you all of a sudden see it popping out, just ignore it. The tape behind it is just not sticking very nicely, which is fine. That's not what we're making. Hello, Kim. I am popping in. I think I got everything set up. I'm just checking to see what everything looks like on here. Push the edge of my table. Push up. Alright. Okay. I think I'm good. So tonight we are going for our Thursday throwback. We are going to make what's called a, I've called it a reverse easel card, but that's not actually what I think it's called. And I've got to write it down, the name of it. But the card's going to basically, it's just a standard A4 card, but with a little bit of a twist. So it folds out like this. I made them before. And it's so you can have it standing on a shelf if you weren't using a slippery glass mat. Kind of stands like that, and you have a background and the image in the foreground. And then you still have room to open up your card and write in it. I didn't finish this one quite off. I screwed up on the coloring a little bit, so apologize that it's not completely done. But it's just my one to go to make sure I'm doing things the same way that I had planned. And we're going to get started. So the stamp sets we're going to use tonight in the stencil, just going to put this in the corner. We are using, oh shoot, I better write it down. It's baked with love. This is why you write these things down. Anyway, it's Lulu. We're going to be using Lulu and with her little kitty. And she's going to be making some cupcakes and cakes. We are going to use our layering cake stencil with some inks. And I am going to bring in some paste as well, just to add some shimmer to our layout. You may want to grab a frame that will fit Lulu here. I used this one, which is just an old Spellbinders one I've had forever. I'm just going to quickly stamp her onto the panel. Thanks, Kim. Just read your comment. And then I think what we'll do is we'll start with making the card base, because I need to let some layers dry. And then I'll turn to coloring, and then we'll come back and finish up the card. So I'm just going to bring in my Misty just to stamp my image quickly. Sorry, I'm flying by the seat of my pants a little bit tonight. I just got home about half hour ago. And that's why I'm on so late. So I understand, Kim, if you have to leave at a certain point, because I know it's pretty late for you. For me, it's only 7 o'clock here, so it's kind of perfect timing to color craft with you all. So taking Lulu. I don't know if you're still there, Kim, or not. Can you just put the stamp set in the link? If you're not, I can quickly grab it and put it up. So I'm just taking my Sandy Shores. I decided to go for, oh, thanks Kim. I should have messaged you before I started. I'm just stamping up my little stamp here. Just went for usually I do a no lines look, but I went for a kind of a medium line look just because this one has a little bit more detail in it, just to show you what I'm doing more. And my Sandy Shores needs a re-inking, so I do need to stamp it twice, but usually our inks are really juicy, and our stamps usually stamp really well. But sometimes you do have to do 2 passes for most stamps. Hello, Ellie. Hope you're having a good night. You up to anything fun this week? Hello, Wanda. So we're just starting with stamping out Lulu here on our panel, just so I had that ready to go. I don't know, I think you guys may have just, I did start just showing you what the design of my card. I'll pull it back out in a second here. We're going to create a sort of simple easel card. Made with love. See, this is why I write these things on the top of the panel. Thank you, Kim. So Made with Love is on sale. We have cute Lulu and cute Lucas. Lucas has those chocolate chip cookies, which are super cute, but since I'm going with a cake themed one, I decided to go with Lulu. Pull back my card for a second here. Oh, you can barely hear me? Oh, I'm speaking pretty loud. Oh, that's the first time. Kim, can you hear me okay? I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. It sounded okay when I had my volume on. I'll just turn it back on for a second just to make sure. Yeah, it sounds okay to me, Ellie. Sorry, I hope you can... Yeah, you got it turned up? Okay. I'll try and speak louder. My camera's a little bit further away than normal, so I'll just try and speak really loud. I'm used to that. Anyway, the design for our card, it just folds out as a fold like this, and you can write on the inside. Just for those who may come up late. We are going to start by making our panel here. Just pulling my Misty away, grabbing my gel plate. And this panel I cut out of a shimmery cardstock. It's going to be hard to see on camera, but it's got a shimmer to it. It's just an old shimmery paper I've had. You can just use regular white paper if you want. I just like the added glitter effect. And this was cut to 3 1/4 by 5. Oh, I'll try and speak as loud as I can, Ellie. Maybe it's just me too. Yeah, this paper I've had for... Actually, we have so much of this paper because both my cousin and I used to just hoard paper together when we were part of a farmer's market. And so we bought a lot of this. So I'm going to use it. And it makes for a shimmery background without having to do too much. So I'm getting our Celebrate with Cake Layering Stencil. And what I want to go for is I guess what I was thinking was a red velvety cake. So how I'm going to achieve that is I'm going to take Marvelous Mocha, and after I've inked with it, I'm going to ink with the crisp crimson over top just to give it that reddish tone. So I'm just pulling in a dauber. One thing I did last night is I made sure that I blocked off where the candles were with some washi tape. But my washi tape is acting up, so I'm just going to use some old ones I have sitting here. So I'm just going to cover up where the candles are. And I think I'll just move my tape around in between. Just because I want my candles in a different color. Okay, so taking Marvelous Mocha. And I'm just, I mean, there's enough space between these. I can kind of, I don't have to necessarily put washi on everything. Just at the top here, I know I'm going to end up getting ink on it. So there's already red on my dome sponge here. So it's already adding a little bit of a red tone. Now when I first put it down last night when I was practicing my card, I did, good evening, Florence. Okay, thanks, Ellie. Sorry you can't hear me very well. I hope maybe later it'll sound better for you. It looked a little strange to me at first, but once it seeps into the paper a little bit, the tone does change on this paper. So it will look a little bit more red once I add the red in, and just making kind of a red velvet cake. is my idea. So I'm just going to come and do that to all the cake pieces. Just gotta keep that one there. I'm just going to move up to the next one. Of course, you could do this in whatever color you want. These could be the wrappers of the cakes and cupcakes, so you could always do it in a different color. I'm not quite sure why I didn't just go to the red first. I'm going to do that now. So I'm taking crisp crimson. Just going to add a tiny bit of red to this. Like I said, it looks a little bit strange until the ink absorbs into the paper a little bit. And then it'll look more like red velvet. And if you're finding that it's too red and you want it more brown, you just keep going back and forth a little bit. And you'll see that it's, again, on my camera, sometimes I find like the colors aren't quite true to what I see in person. But I think it'll look really cool. And I know that we have different colors of Kraftin Kimmie ink, but I like mixing it up sometimes by doing more than one color. Now I'm going to put a little bit of tape down here. But as you see, I'm not necessarily putting tape on everything at the moment, like on all the candles. Just, you can always tape everything. Hello, it's Elise. Hope you're having a good night. No more cuts on you. You're playing it safe. No crafty accidents. I hope. I can't talk. You should see my arms right now. But that's why I'm wearing a sweater. Mine are not crafty accents. Mine, unfortunately, are kitties who are not very happy with me. If for those who maybe not know or watching the replay and going, what? I work for a vet clinic. Cats don't always like me. So, okay, you keep it safe out there, please. Last week I had quite the incident, so I'm healing, but it's part of the job, unfortunately. And Kitty came back today on some meds and did much better, so always a little nerve-wracking when they come back in. You're like, are you going to be better this time? I don't blame her. She didn't want to have blood taken, so. But we got it done. I'm okay. Just got some kitty claws in me, that's all. Could have been worse. And at least the kitty told me off instead of just kept going. So we just said, okay, we're done. So I like this new clinic that the policy is, you know, less stress on the animals. So if they're stressed out, we try something else. That's how we should always do it. Anyway, this part I know is probably pretty tedious if you've ever seen inking, but I thought at least you could see how it turns into red velvet. What's everyone's favorite type of cake? I'm actually not the biggest chocolate person. I know, sacrilege. So, I tend to go more towards the vanillas. We have cherry chip here in Canada. I don't know if that's a Canadian thing or if that's everywhere. I like funfetti, even though to me it's more about the icing, which we don't have here, so I have to go to the States to buy it. Although not right now. Right now I'm just going to have to wait. But I'm just wiping down the stencil just to get some of this ink off of the stencil part. I'm okay if the ink goes where the cake is, but I want to make sure I wipe off some of this. So when I go to do the candle part, it's blue. You could always take the stencil off, wipe it down completely, if you weren't lazy like I am. And surprise, 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 what? Oh, that I don't want to eat chocolate? Yeah, I know. Is that what I'm surprised about? told you, I'm not a big chocolate girl. Never really have been. Rum cake. Oh, you're saying you're surprised it's a rum cake for you. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that, at least. That sounds good. I'd probably eat rum cake. I don't know if I've ever had rum cake. Should try it. Delise always talks about food in her lives and makes me hungry every time, so it's my turn. So I'm just pulling off where the candles are now. And I'm going to do the candles in our ink of the month, which is Bubbly Blue, which goes really well with our reds. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly ink those up, and I'm just going to do them all in the same color. Of course, you could do them in whatever color you want. You don't have to stick to one color, but to make our live a little faster, I am going to just come in and just do quick inking over them. I'm okay if some of the red gets into the blue a little bit, like they can be a bit more of a purpley blue, and that's fine. But I am trying to stick a little bit more with the bubbly blue. And this paper, because of the shimmer, it leaves kind of a granular texture on the candles, which I don't mind. It makes them look like they have a fun texture. It'll look better once I pull off the stencils. You can see what I mean by this, and this probably doesn't show the shimmer, unfortunately, on the screen very well. Maybe after I can zoom in with the camera, see if I can capture the sparkle for you guys. And just quickly, I have a small brush, so it's easy for me just to go around quickly and add the blue ink in. Oops, I missed down here for the cake, but that's okay. We can just leave it. It's not going to be seen much anyway. All right. So what's everyone doing this weekend? I'm working on crafty projects I haven't got done yet. Silly kitty got pulled or made it so I couldn't really craft too much this weekend, so I'm glad I'm back able to craft again. Just pulling the second layer in now. And I forgot to wash the yellow off of here for the candles, so hopefully it doesn't cause too much of an issue. I did change my mind last night when I was creating my projects, so I'm going to actually use paste on this whole layer, so I think it'll be okay. Okay, so the nice thing about our Kraftin Kimmie stencils, if you haven't got a layered one before, or you maybe just forgot about it, is it's hard to read because it's white on white, but there is the logo on the side here. This one's also pretty easy to line up. The one thing you can do is like you just line up the cake piece, I find, and the cupcakes, and everything else kind of just lines up pretty easily. And we're going to put paste through this one. Then we're going to have to let it dry. So I'm going to put it to the side and we're going to color our image and make our card base. So originally I was going to do, if you don't have the paste and you want to just continue with the ink, you can always just do yellows. Unfortunately, because of the dark color of the cake, putting yellow over top of these shapes probably won't show up. They may, but I'm just going to use a paste for this. So I have Dune Stencil Butter, which is kind of a creamy, goldeny, yellowy, shimmery paste. I'm just going to quickly add that. Then we have to let it dry. And I tend to spread mine pretty thick, probably too thick, but I like doing this. And I forgot to mention, I do use the gel plate to hold down my paper. I know that's not what you're supposed to use a gel plate for, but I don't use it the way it's supposed to be used anyway, so I figure at least I'm using my supplies then. So this is going to give us a little bit of a buttercreamy gold shimmer to our cake icing. Also, the candle flames can be a little bit of a golden yellow color too. It's kind of a good combination, I found. So who's getting excited? We have a new release coming soon. It's just in a couple weeks here. I promise I can't tell you what it is, what the stamps and stencils are, but they are so cute. I'm having a fun time playing with them. I just need to sit down and, you know, finish up some stuff. And I'll be sending them off to Kim. So hopefully she can have them by the time the party happens. Figure if I put a rush on it, it probably will get through. But I've seen some of the samples the girls have made already, and man, they're cute. But that's all I can say. That's all I can say. And the stencil I'll probably use lots. So when I'm doing this, I just kind of spread it. I don't make it, like I make it pretty thick, but then I try and clean up some of it. And it would be good to use my spatula that's more of a rubber spatula for this, but I can't find it. It's gotten lost in the piles of chaos in my craft room. So I'll have to figure that out. It doesn't look very clean or pretty on here right now, but once I lift this up, you'll see the image. It looks silly because obviously I got ink, or got stuff on the gel plate, but once I move it, it'll be okay. I'm just going to quickly take this to the sink and put it in my sink. I'll be right back. I just love stencil butter. Cleans up so fast. It's my favorite now. I don't think I'll go back to like really glittery pastes anymore because the mess is, it's worth it, but it's not, you know. I'm just going to take my little pokey tool and be really careful and just slide it underneath. And then we have to be careful and let this dry for a bit. As you can see, there it is. So, I mean, so quick, so easy. And I got colors that match my pattern paper. Or my, my cardstock, I mean. Just gonna quickly wipe this down too. Although it does come clean even if it sticks on there. Which is also why I like using the gel plate. People who are probably gel plate enthusiasts are probably like, no, that's not what you're supposed to use that for. But, yeah, I figure might as well use it the way I want to use it in my craft room. Instead of letting it sit in a box and not be used. Plus, then I don't have to go and buy more stuff that I would like, but don't need right now. So, you have those cool mats that you can, the sticky mats and stuff like that, you can use those instead. Or magnets, but I just love how easy this is. Okay, just gonna put that to the side. I think we'll start with coloring, and then we'll put the card together. And that way I can let that panel sit and dry for about a bit. Alright, toss in the garbage. Okay. And I forgot to grab myself a sticky mat. Hope I have one. Yes, I do. So I know the other day somebody asked me how am I keeping my hands out of my coloring, and how I'm keeping it from sliding around. I just grabbed these Sizzix. They're sticky grids. They're for your machines. to hold down die cuts. I have an old Cuttlebug plate. It looks awful right now because usually I have a nice piece of paper over top of it. And I just stick this down on top of it. And that holds my image in place while I color. I can get my finger under it. Go. Yeah, it's not going to be the prettiest mat tonight, but that's okay. I also like having paper underneath so I can check my markers if I'm worried about marker contamination. Just scribble it on there too. You know what? That's why we have pokey tools. Maybe. I have glittery fingers right now. Yeah, let's go over there. Okay, so if you haven't already, just quickly stamp Lulu onto a shape. And we'll get started with coloring. I kept the coloring fairly simple tonight. Nothing too elaborate, I don't think. Still have like 3 to 4 markers per blend, but I will zoom in if it lets me. And angle it a little bit so that my hand's not in the way. Okay, everyone, it's time to see. Does Patti get the zoomed in one go? No. Hope. Okay, now I gotta figure out where my camera goes. Okay. Am I too zoomed in? I said at the last live I did, I'm like, I really wish they'd make, oh, now I've zoomed in more. Really wish they'd make a camera for us, or I mean not a camera, a remote for us to do this. Oops. There we go. Sorry, don't mind to make you guys seasick. Hi Deb, I didn't see you come in. We're just gonna work on coloring and then I'll show you how to put my card together. But I will be posting this on YouTube probably tomorrow night. I just have to take a photo of the card after. And have some things to do before I go to work tomorrow, so I figure I'll post it tomorrow night. So you'll be able to catch the replay in the Facebook group for a little bit, and then we will be having them on YouTube. So gotta watch what I say. Alright, so we're gonna start with the skin, which is what I always do. And I just do a whole coat on the skin with my lightest color, which is E00. I do somewhat, I will admit, somewhat struggle with these images because I like to add detail that isn't there, so I'm going to be good and I'll do that tonight because that's not the artist's intention. But that's why I went for a less of a no lines look tonight. I'm jumping to my second darkest, which is E11. And I'm just going to come definitely under the hairline. There'd be a big line here. And then where her hair kind of comes down, I just do a little bit of a C shape or J shape. And then I skip where the ear is and I come over here and add just a little bit of a rounded shape once my hand moves out of the way and I can see that it's working. And the reason why I'm doing that is I'm going to make sure she's got lots of cute little cheeks here. And I'm basically drawing in where I want my shadows, where I want my darkest. So I'm just adding big C shapes on either side of her mouth there. And then her nose, I'm going to come right on top of the line and just start putting a U shape. And her ears, just the same thing. I'm just coming on the inside of the ears, kind of blending out a little bit, almost in a circle shape. But that just maps out my darkest. And then I'm going to go to E04. And same thing, I'm going to just go over exactly where I just drew in my lines. And with these, they're bigger shapes, or bigger stamps. So you can, make your lines a lot darker. you have a lot more room to blend on these ones. But I am just going to come in, draw all the shapes back in. And I didn't do all the way on her neck here, or on her chin. That's just my preference. I don't want to do the whole face in EO4. I think it's too much. I'll add more in if I need to, but then I just go down the line. So E11 is my next color. And I'm just coming in and just blending out. She looks really funny right now because we haven't added all the colors in yet. And it's going to look dark. It's going to look dark at first. And you're going to think I'm silly. But I just keep blending until I make it look like what she's supposed to look like. So now I'm coming in with my second lightest, which I use EO1 over E00. Just for a bit more of a rosier glow. But definitely use E00 if you're more comfortable with it. And I'm just coming around the nose. Let's start drawing some eyebrow shapes in the ears. And it does take more than one blend usually, these bigger images. So I think it looks silly right now. That's why we add layers. Taking my lightest color again, and I'm going to go over the whole thing. And I'll help smooth out some of the harsh lines I have going on here. And I do tend to kind of scrub at it. It's probably not the best for your markers, but this is just how I do things. Okay. Then I kind of just assess my image just to see, you know, where do I think I need some more dark. Might not go back in with EO4. I'll just hop to E11 again. And I like having a lot more shading on the side of the head because it's kind of facing. We're just going to say the light's coming this way a little bit. Means technically I guess the light would be more right on top of her. But that's just how I picture it. I draw in little eyebrows. Come back over the cheeky area, underneath the mouth, cheeks. The chin, into the ears some more. So I actually missed over there. Yeah. Oh, trust me, Deb. I do it all the time. I'm always like, oh, it looks awful. And it was way too dark. And why'd I do that? And then I go and color the rest of the image. I'm like, oh, it looks fine. So just keep coloring. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just paper, right? So if it still doesn't look right to you, like, I would say I made some mistakes last night when I was creating my demo for the card. I still created it. There are some things I will change, probably. I didn't like how I colored my kitty. So we will change it. But at the end of the day, it's just paper. Just keep coloring, keep practicing. It will get there. So going to my lightest again. Going over the whole thing. And like I said, it does lighten up too, I find. So you do need to add a little bit darker. It's just going to all fade into one color. Now, one thing I forgot to put on my list was color for blush. I guess she's just not going to have a lot of blush on her today. And that's fine. Just because I don't want to go off of my... Yeah, she's going to have some cupcakes. Or she made a cupcake for a friend. I will come in and add her eyes in and some detail, but we're going to let that part sit because there's a lot of ink on it right now. And if you add the detail in at this point, you may find that it starts smearing. So we're just going to let that dry. And I'm going to come to the arms next. And just like they did with the face, I'm just going to come in, add just a tiny wash of the lightest color. Trust the process. Trust the process. Not saying it has taken me years, and I'm still not an expert, I don't think. I think we all judge our coloring at this step. So what I'm doing is just figuring out where I want my shadows with my E11. So under her little arm there, or under the little sleeve there, I did put a little bit of shadow there. I like putting a little bit of shadow in the crook of the arm and on the bottom of the hand. Her little elbow should have a little bit of shading. And then it's not maybe the right way of doing it, but I do add a little bit to the bottom of the arm here. I'm going to come over here. Same thing. Just under the sleeve, in the crook of the arm, where the cupcake is. I went a little dark there, that's okay. And then down her arm. Yeah, we are always our worst critic. I have been very critical of my work over the years, and it still gets me some days, right? But you know what? The person who's getting the card isn't going to care. And if they do care, then they don't get your cards, right? You give it to somebody who actually wants to love it. I had a new coworker today, and I was explaining, I had to get home. And she's like, oh, why? And I said, I have a class to teach. And she was like, oh, what do you teach? And I was trying to explain to her what we do, what our crafting stuff is. And she was like, why would anyone want to do that? I was like, because it's therapeutic and it's fun. And I like sending out cards to people. She's like, oh, okay. She totally didn't get it, right? So she's maybe not the one to maybe you make these special cards for. She's one who's like, I could just send an email or a text. And I'm like, yep, you could. But that's just not how I do things. So I like making handmade stuff. Always have. Plus, she's never seen she's never seen what we do, right? So she doesn't really understand, I'm going to go home and teach people how to color. When you say it like that, it does sound silly. But it's like, I did explain it. It's like artist supplies. So just blending out what I just did. I've learned not to let those people get to me because it's fine. If they don't want your work, that's fine. Give it to somebody else. And just blending that out some more. And I know the EO4 seems really dark, like I said again. Once you add the other colors, I won't. Just remembered I forgot her neck. So I'm going to back up to the neck. I'm going to start with my E11. And where her t-shirt meets, I'm going to add a little bit under there and underneath her chin. And to the sides. And then I'm going to take my EO4. And I'm going to do the same thing. And now this part's probably dry enough. I can add her eyes in, and I just do it with EO4. You may want to add a bit of nose back in if you lost it. You might want to add some eyebrows. And then her mouth, I do come in. If you're uncomfortable with fine lines like this, you can always just grab a gel pen and add it in. In her ears, I do like to add a little bit of the outline of that Cheryl drew in, the artist. So, adding those back in. There, now she's got a face again. Coming in with my E11, just going to blend that out a little bit on her chin, her neck. It does look a little dark there, but it's just a piece of the neck. Like I just said, I'm not worried about it too much. It's just a small area anyway. Alright, and then, sorry, I just moved my paper too much probably. Yeah, my lid's out of the way. There we go. And then I'm just going to do her legs, and we'll work on the next part. And this is why I did the stenciling first, is because you're going to need some time to cut that to dry anyway, and it takes me a little bit longer to color. But thank you for all those who wanted to join in and watch me do this. I appreciate all of you. So what else can we talk about? So we talked about this Bubbly Blue is our ink of the month. New release coming soon. Oh, I get it, Kim. It's late. No worries. I'm good. Thanks, though, for joining in and helping me out at the beginning there. What's everyone up to this summer? Anybody have any plans? Going anywhere? My mom wants to take a road trip, and she wants to go to, basically we live in Alberta, so she wants to go east, as far east as we can. I don't think we'll get to London to visit Kim, but she was thinking maybe we go to Winnipeg and Pebble Beach, those areas, go see Lake Superior. We'll see. She's just keen to go traveling, and I have a little bit more staff members at my new job, so I can probably go traveling a little bit more with her. She's got that retired, I need to travel wanderlust going on right now, and I'm going, yeah, but I still have to work, Mom. Unless you're paying for everything. So, yeah, oh, that's so close, isn't it? And she's moving out of the state, Delise, or is she close enough that you can go and visit her still? Ooh, PEI. I want to go to PEI. I've never been. It's a little too far for us because we are driving. If I was flying, I'd say, hey, Mom, maybe we should try and go visit there. But I think the plan is for us just to drive this year somewhere. All right, so if you want, you could add a second layer. I'm just going to leave what I did here today. I probably would do a second layer if I was just coloring it by myself, but we have a lot of coloring still to do, so I'm happy with the results right now. One thing I'm going to do, 5 hours. Okay, well, I mean, it's doable. That's a long, you don't have to, like, take breaks, but you could probably drive to go visit her, or maybe fly. Maybe she'll come fly and come visit you during her breaks, but think of all the things, yeah, think of all the things she'll get to learn, so hopefully that'll work. What's she taking again? Or what's she planning on doing? I'm just going to add a little bit of freckles into her cheeks here. I'm just taking E13. You can always do E11 if you find E13 too dark for you. I'm just giving her some little freckles on her face. Alright, we're going to tackle this hair now. So, I realized I didn't say what colors I was doing before I started on the skin. It's just always my go-to, so I feel like you all know what it is. But for the hair, we are going to do E13, E99, E39, and E59. So it is a bit of a darker tone. You can always sub in some of those darker colors for some of the skin tones for your highlights. But it gave a nice, like, brownish red color. So I just use my E13 and I kind of map out what I want to do with this hair. So the part is up here at the top. Ooh, genetics. That sounds cool. Lots of you probably can do with genetics. Especially nowadays, I betcha there'd be a lot of demand for that. So I'm just basically looking for where Cheryl's put some lines here. And I'm going to, her bangs are in front of this part of her hair. So I'm just going to come in, add a shadow with my E13, which is just a line across. And then I'm going to add little flicks up from there. And I'm going to add a lot of thickness behind that part. So kind of coming up there. Same with this side. And I'm just planning out my shadows. Yeah, it is. I don't even have kids, but I see my niece and nephew and how fast they're growing up, and I go, wow. There'd be some shadows around these little hair balls. I don't know what to call them. Barrettes. And so I just added a bit of shadowing there. From the top of her part, I'm going to come down Just add some strokes, meeting up with those lines, and then lots of strokes from the middle. She's going to also have a little bit of strokes coming from those hair barrettes. Call them barrettes today. Hair elastics, something like that. And then we can just start with that. Then we'll work our way to her pigtails. So same thing as I did with the face, I'm going to jump to my second darkest, which is E39. And I'm just basically just adding little strokes from where I just added my shadows. Okay, so up here at the top, down here on the sides. And frankly, I don't find I'm very perfect at hair. I honestly find it sometimes is a struggle, but I think the biggest thing is just adding lots of little strokes. Doesn't matter if they don't fall exactly where you want them. I think it looks like hair regardless of what you do. And I tend to make my things too uniform sometimes for if I was going to make it look really realistic. But as you can see, I just added strokes exactly where I just put my last one. Now I'm going to go to my darkest and do the same thing. And why do I go to my second darkest before my darkest? I'm not even 100% sure myself. I think it's just a confidence thing, like, okay, I did that part. Now I can add my dark in. Again, adding some shadows from the barrettes. And there should be a pretty dark shadow there. Coming out of the barrettes. And then here's where I'm not going to stroke all the way up to the other one. But the sides that Cheryl drew, I'm adding quite a bit. Again, same thing. Looks really weird until you add some more colors in there, right? So go back to my second darkest, same thing, just stroking up higher. I'm okay if her hair looks a little messy too. She is a kid after all. Leaving room for some highlights. And keep going. My niece is going into junior high and that just boggles my mind. So I couldn't imagine how you must feel, Delise, right now. You grow up fast. And then I'm just taking my lightest, which is my E13, and I go over the whole thing. You could leave some highlights if you wanted to with white. I tend to forget, so I just go over the whole thing. Okay, so the same thing over here. I'm going to start, and probably just to speed us up, I'm just going to go to, actually no, let's follow your plan, Patty. Okay, back to our lightest, drawing our shadows. So when you have curly hair like this, I'm just going to show you where I put my shadows. So I come up from the tightest part on the little ponytail here, or pigtail there, and I'm just adding strokes going towards the top. And then I come over to where the ponytail balls are, pigtail balls, and I come do the same. I'm leaving a big gap here because I think the highlight would be right there. And then wherever I stroked in the middle there, I come down. And same, this part's really tight in here, so I'm going to add some strokes from there. Coming up. And then just add a little bit there. Now I'll move my hand out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. So if you can see, there's a highlight here and a highlight there. Now to save us some time, I'm going to jump right to my darkest instead of going to the middle one. But if you feel uncomfortable with that, you can always start with your second darkest. And I'm just drawing lines again, up towards that bump, over towards the bump. Trying to leave a little bit of a gap in between my strokes. I'm not always the best at that, and that's okay. And then down here. Figure as long as you leave a little bit of room for highlights, it looks okay. Alright, so then to my second darkest, which is E39, which is on my off screen. Nope, okay, I'm okay. And same thing, just you keep adding strokes until you fill up the gap now. If I went to PEI, what should I visit? Yeah. Besides, obviously, Anne of Green Gables. Like, that's obviously... I go and see the Lucy Maud Montgomery exhibit. But... also, if anyone has any ideas of what to do in Winnipeg, I know there's a good beaches and stuff, but if anybody has any cool... I like looking at murals. Apparently there's a big one. I feel like my mom said Medicine Hat, which is actually just south of us, southeast, I think. So we'll probably visit that too. Okay, that one's done. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. So, taking my E13, mapping out my shadow areas. So, same thing. I look for where the hair is, like, got the tightest part to it. I start adding strokes from there. And then, this didn't stamp very well. That's my fault. I didn't do a very good job of stamping it. But the nice thing is I'm covering most of it with ink, so you probably won't even notice. Up and down from there. And then this part would be giving a little bit of a shadow on the hair, so I did add a little bit there. And then coming from the back of the cupcake. And I know we talked about last time cruises. I will be going on a cruise next year, hopefully, for my birthday. We still got to plan it. Kind of big for me. I don't get to travel very much, so I'm excited that I finally get to. I found because we were so short-staffed at my previous clinic, I couldn't really travel very much. So, it is all new for me. Alright, so you saw where I added my dark. And like I said, just go down the line, E39. And I made that a little bit too much of the samey, but that's okay. I'm still leaving a little bit of room for the highlight. If you lost some strokes doing it, you can always add in, like once the hair dries a little bit, you can always go back in with your darkest and add some strokes in. I find that's a cheating way to do it sometimes. Or a hack. Maybe we should call it a hack, not cheating. Alright. What else can I talk about? I talked about what type of cake. Thanks, Deb. I always appreciate your kind comments. Alright, so that's the hair. And I know I made it, like I did it pretty quickly, so I'm not the best at teaching that part. So if somebody wants some more lessons in it, or wants me to slow down one time, just let me know and I can always come back and try and slow down next time. One thing I've been doing to my characters lately is I always add eyebrows, but I've been liking them a little bit bushier, so I just took my second darkest color and added just a little bit more of a hair stroke on them, just so they're not just a line. You don't have to do that. If you think it looks silly, don't worry about it. Don't do it. But I like having little eyebrows to my characters. I have pretty bushy eyebrows myself, so like the look of it. Alright, so I'm going to go on to her apron now, or sorry, her dress under her apron, and I did that in B's. So my color palette for that is B00, B02, B12, and B24. Now you can always cut out one of the colors. If I was going to cut one out, I'd probably do B02. And just stick to the B00, B12, and B24. But I like doing 4 blends. So I came over here to her arm, and I started with her arm. Again, just using the lightest color, which is my B00, to map out my shadows. Then, kind of like with her neck, I added more shadows to where the apron touches her dress here. And a little bit around the collar. Same with this side. Come up to the top of the arm. There. I'm going to just start with those areas. It's a pretty easy blend because I didn't go for a very extreme contrast on here. I'm going to take my darkest color and just add where we just inked up my lightest. Adding little strokes so that it's not just a line from the bottom. And same with here, just I draw a line and then I add little strokes up. And then come around her collar. Okay. Then I'm going to take my next darkest color. It's going to seem weird, but it is actually B02. Just for the contrast, the B02 is darker, I find, than the B12. So if you are going to add it, just note that. Just because the B12 has a lot more of a grayer, it's a little bit grayer tone. So I do find it's a little darker, or a little lighter than the other one. Alright, B12. Like I said, I'm making this pretty simple tonight. Nothing too complicated. And her highlights are just the top of her shirt. With B00. And then I usually come from the line and then I just blend down. Instead of blending up. I don't know why, that's just how I've always done it. Is it right? Probably not. But makes me happy, so. Alright. Then I came underneath her apron. So just adding my lightest. This apron is casting a pretty big shadow, so you can decide on how much you want to add of the shadow color. Okay, because the apron is casting a shadow on the top of the dress, I am going to add it right underneath. And then I usually just do on the sides. Like that. And then I go to my second one, which is the B02. And yes, I uncap both ends on my markers because there's been too many accents in the past. And I'm just going to blend that out. Didn't leave a lot of room for my next color, which is my bad. But I'm still going to use it. And I'm going to go over the whole thing here. So, like over the whole B24, B02. And just extend that out. Since I went a little dark there. But I'm still leaving a little room for a highlight. It's my B00. And I'm just going back and forth and kind of blending over everything there. Alright. So for her little ruffles on her shirt, I did go with my darkest color. I think I'm going with my lightest this time. So I'm just coloring in the whole ruffle there. Because I made my lines not no line coloring this time. Or sorry, it isn't no line coloring this time. Double negative. I think just adding just a little bit of this is fine. If you want to get really detailed, you could go in and add some shading to the whole thing, but it's such a small area that I'm okay just adding just a little touch of that. Alright, I also did her bow and her hair. And her little brat balls. I'm sure there's a name for these. Pigtail, elastics, whatever you want to call them. You could make them cherries if you wanted. I think I made them cherries in the past, but this time I'm just coloring them in blue to add more blue. Coming around the whole bow, and then color the whole thing in this time. My line's got a little weak there, and that's okay. Once you add the color in, you don't really notice. And then I'm going to do her little shoes. And I'll add a tiny bit of shading to this. These are probably socks, but I'm just going to color them in like their shoe bits. Just to save us some time. And I'm going to start with my darkest. And so I'm just doing like on the outside here, adding a C shape into the barrettes. Acro C's. And then from here, I just went up the sides. I made the bow look almost like an ombre bow. I kept it pretty simple. And then her socks, just on either side. And her shoe, on either side. I know this is kind of the tedious part, but it's my favorite part. I actually really like coloring. It's hard to teach you guys sometimes. I feel like I'm just talking the same thing over and over again. So my poor kitty yesterday had to go to the vet. She's okay. Well, I think she's okay. She's been having lots of tears in her eyes. Made her sad or something. So I just wanted to get her checked over, make sure it was anything I needed to do. So we have her on some eye drops just to see if that makes a difference. If it doesn't, she's going to have to come in and have dental x-rays done. Which I suspect she's going to have to do. She doesn't have any teeth, or hardly any teeth on the top, but you're worried maybe she's got what's called a retained root from a previous dental she had. So we might just have to do x-rays just to make sure there isn't something there. And she's okay. You wouldn't even know she's feeling sorry for herself. She's so good when she goes to the vet, so I'm lucky. Alright, for the insides of the shoes, I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm just going to do BO2. Okay. Now, in my sample, I did do like a buttercream on the actual cake part, and then I used the bees for my wrapper. So I'm just going to do that quickly. So instead of just going line by line here, this is such a small area, I'm just coating the whole thing in B00. And then I'm going to take B12. And I'm just going to come to the side of each side of the cupcake wrapper there and underneath the cake part. Just adding a bit of a shadow. Same with B20 fold. Up, down the side. And then, just because it's such a small area, I'm just going to blend. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Talise. Lots of practice. Just going to blend over the whole thing there instead of doing too many layers. So it's just a small area. I'm fine with how that looks. And then for the cake part, I just took E30. And I'm just going to scribble in the E30 over here. So it's a little bit of buttercream. You could always just make this like the Actually, maybe I should. I'm going to experiment. Might be a bad idea, but we are going to try it because why not? It's just paper, like I said. I'm going to actually take my E13 and I'm going to start by adding just like a little bit of a wavy line. And we're going to say this is the cake part of the cupcake. And that's the icing on top. I am going to take E08. Now this is a lot dark. This is pretty dark red. And I'm just going to come to the sides of the cake. Yeah, I think that was a good idea actually. Sometimes your experiments work, sometimes they don't. And I'm just going over the E13. And we're just going to make it look like that red velvet cake that's going to match our panel. And then again, E13. And I'm just blending over the whole thing. Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with it enough. Alright, so the kitty I had a hard time with. I'll admit that. I always have a hard time with the little tiny images here. So I think to make my life easier, I'm going to color him in E30, and I'm going to come and do kind of like how I did up here. And just add some shading. So I'm just going to color over the whole cat. It'd be just a little brown kitty. It's such a small area, I don't tend to go too detailed on the little images when they're like this. Feel free to if you feel comfortable. You can always add little patches to them. You would eat it? Phew! Alright. Got the chocolate lover saying she'd eat it, so we're okay. And I'm going to make that one a little bit of a vanilla cupcake for me. Alright, so taking my E13. Just trying to think of how I want to do this. I think I'm just going to make him have little patches. So I'm just going to draw in little patches with the E13 and I'm going to color it. It's going to have a little bit one over his eye here. And I might have to add in his eye back in after with a darker color. And he's going to have one over here. Maybe a little bit up on his tail. Unfortunately, his tail got cut off by my die cut, but that's okay. And maybe one on his leg. I don't know what kind of cat he is, but he's a spotty one. Alright, I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm probably going to add a little bit of a darker color to add in my detail in there a little bit. I did screw that up last night, so I'm trying to decide, do I just leave it today? I'm going to work on my red on my apron, and then we're good to go and get back to the card and how to make it. So for my red last night, oops, not that color, I used E08, E09, R24, and E39. I went for kind of a orangey-ish, reddish, rusty color. So R24 is my dominant color, but I did add some browns in just because browns mix with reds really well. So I'm going to start with my R24. And I'm just going to coat the whole apron here. Now this is a pretty strong color, so you have to be a little bit careful. Mine's pretty dry right now, so it doesn't bleed as much as some reds do. And you could always just leave it as one color. And it'll look cute too. But I do like adding the browns in, just for my shadows. And I'm just coating over the whole thing. If I get into the spoon accidentally, that's fine. I'm going to add a darker color on the spoon in our pocket. I am not coloring where her little band is yet. I think I'm going to take a gel pen and just add gold. And I actually do that for a pocket too. You could be happy with that, but I am going to add, like I said, a little bit of brown in. Just coming over to the cherry here on this cupcake. There's a little cherry on this cupcake. I forgot I need to color in that little cupcake wrapper. I'm just going to do it quickly with B12. Okay, so it's such a small area, I'm not going to sit there and play with it too much. Alright, so now we're going to take our E09, which is my second darkest. And like I said, just blend out my shadows here a little bit. So where this pocket is, the pocket is in front, like it's in front of the apron. So I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow around the pocket. And I do add from the bottom of the apron, I kind of add a little L shape up. An L shape up. And add a little bit underneath the apron string here. And then Cheryl has a little bit of a line there, so come down and add that. Once my hand moves out of the way, you'll see what I mean. Okay, and then up on my apron. And I'm just going to color in this whole spoon. And I'm going to come over to this cherry, and on the left side of the cherry, I'm just coming up and doing like a backwards, like a little bit of a C shape. So a little bit of a, this shape. This one, I'm just going to do the tiniest little bit. Just give it a little bit of shading. You don't have to. It's so small if you don't want to. Then I'm going to come down to E08. And because these colors are so strong, I'm not actually going to my darkest one yet. Because I may not need it, or B, I don't want to overwhelm the image quite yet until I know where my shadows are. So I'll probably go to that one next after I make sure that I'm happy with where I have my shadows. And again, into the little cherry here on the cupcake. Let's put the one down here. Alright, now we bring out the big gun, which is E39. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to add a little bit of shading to the side of the apron here. Same over here, around the pocket. And with the pocket, I'm just going down, across, and over. I'll move my hand out of the way. There you go. And then above her, on her apron string line, coming down, over, up here. Don't worry guys, I know this part's the tedious part, we're almost done it. Alright, and then you can go down the list, but I'm going to go back to R24 and see if I can just blend out what I have right now. And if you find the colors getting a little dull, you do maybe want to do a second round, and that's fine too. But by adding your brown into your reds, it does add a good, nice dark shadow. I find by going red to red, sometimes you don't get necessarily a shadow that you want. And then you can go over the whole cherry. The one down here. And I just feel like I need a bit more in here. Just bring out that brown a little bit more. Alright, now that I've done that, I'm going to go over the whole pocket over here. And it should be lighter than the rest of the apron. There. I'm going to probably add some gold gel pen to that. Alright, so I just need to add, I think I'm going to add some gold gel pen to the heart and the apron strings here, and then she's done. Oh, and my kitty haven't quite finished yet. Oh, there's my gold gel pen. Well, I am speeding along a little bit. Alright, so just adding my gold gel pen in. I know that wasn't on the list. You can always color it in whatever color you want. Leave it white if you want. There's some apron strings over here, so just adding them there. She does have, I think, a little bit of a loop from an apron. I'm not even 100% sure, but we'll just color that too. And the little heart. And I'm going to add little buttons to her apron. Because why not? And do I want it anywhere else? Yeah. One thing I forgot to do on my little kitty here, because I was waiting to see what it looked like, is I do need to do its nose. So let's do E99 for its nose. Yeah. If you're not good with fine lines, a gel pen works really well here. I'm just adding in some of the lines that should be added. I'm not going to do the whiskers because that's how I screwed up last night. I'm just going to leave the whiskers. And I'll probably grab a gel pen later. I didn't grab one, so for this. But you could add just the thinnest gel pen to get those whiskers a little darker. I'm pretty happy with how it is. Me too, Delise. So the one last thing, just because I wanted some interest in the background here, is I just took E30 and I'm just going to add little confetti dots to the background. Nothing super fancy. I can maybe add the gold gel pen into. And I just gave it a little bit of something. Don't have to do this if you don't want. You can always color the whole thing into. I'm just not very good at that, so I just tend to not do it. Just wanted a bit of confetti behind her. Okay. Alright, so that's the coloring done. So now we can start putting together our card, and hopefully my paste is all dry. Not doing too bad. It's only been an hour and a bit. Pretty fast for me. Oh, there's my cat. She has to, you know, protest every once in a while. Okay, and that just peels off of there because that's just like basically like a huge post-it note. Alright, I'm going to pull my card back in and I'm going to zoom out so you can see what I did from my previous card. And yes, it's going to fold out like this right now. It will fold better once you crease the lines a little bit better. Oh, sorry, you can't even see what I'm talking about because I didn't. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Delise. I'm going to zoom back out if it lets me. There we go. Is that zoomed out enough? Sorry, I know I make you guys probably seasick with that. Okay, so this is how this card works. For those who maybe joined late, is it opens up and has like a little shelf. It's a really easy card. It's basically an A2, but with a little bit of an extra twist. So it's nice because it's kind of an easel card that you can display on a shelf. You can still write on the inside. So we're going to just put that together. Now I did put, ooh, got a little bit of paste stuck to that. I did put the dimensions for the card base on our Facebook group. Sorry, just got a little bit off. Yes, I'm Lady and the Tramp. I love Lady and the Tramp. One of my favorites. I don't love the muzzle part. Because sometimes some dogs need muzzles. Lady did not. I will admit that. But yes, it's one of my scrub tops. Alright. So I did put the dimensions on our thing. So if you have cut out your paper already, we're just going to put the card together. But I will go through it again with you. I do have the instructions over here, so I'm just going to pull my ink away. I'm working in Crafty Chaos, which drives me a little insane right now, but it's what it is. When you have an hour to get ready. Alright, can you guys see that okay? I'm kind of at an angle right now. Let's see, can I move this a little bit? It's a little straighter for you. Okay. So, our card base is a typical 4 1/4 by 11. We're going to score it at our typical A2 size. And I am lazy and I use my trimmer for this. One of these days I will get a small scoreboard. Okay. So 5 1/2, scored in half at the 5 1/2 mark. Let's see if I can fold it straight. I suck at that. Good enough. You just want to make sure that's scored well. This is a good time to decorate the inside if you want to decorate the inside. I didn't bother this time. Alright. So put that to the side. Now this is a second base and it is cut at 4 by 10 and a quarter. Did I do that right? I hope so. 10 and a quarter. So all I did, now I'm like, did I do that right? I'm sorry, guys. Well, I think it's actually supposed to be 4 by 10.75. So if you did it, because I took 1/2 inch off. Let's do math here. So 11, and you take 1/2 an inch, so 10 and a half. Ugh. Honestly, math, numbers, just, okay, let me measure out what I did. Oh boy. Sorry if you got stuff already cut. It should work regardless. Yes, 10 and a half. Let's cross that off. I will update the supplies list after. Hope that the rest of it's right still. It should be. So this is 4 by 10 and a half, and we're going to just score it at the 2.5 mark. So I just put my paper in and score it 2.5. Honestly, if you cut it wrong, it's not the end of the world. It still should work. And 5. And this is why I use my trimmer, is it can line it up nicely. Again, a scoreboard would be better, but alas, I don't have a small one, and I hate how big mine is. Okay, so this is just going to, I'm just going to make sure it's working. Yeah, it should work. Could be slightly different from what I did. And I'm just going to fold this up. And you want to give it a good score. And that's at the 5 mark. And then I'm just going to fold this one down. And that's going to give you your easel shape. So this goes on your front of your card here. I think I was right the first time. Sorry guys. It is 10.25. So I'm just going to pull out my paper again. So if you did do it the right way the first time, I hope I had the right dimensions on my notes last night. I'm just going to cut it. Yeah, it's easy. It's so easy, Delise. So anyway, okay, let's make sure that works now. So 10 and a quarter. Yes, that's better. 10 and a quarter. Then this just folds up. Yes. Okay. Ignore this line. So easel. So we'll just put chocolate brown. And that was 4 by 10.25 scored at 2.5. This is why sometimes it's best to watch live and then try and recreate it the next day. I meow back at her. She doesn't care. She's mad because I'm down here and she wants to be upstairs and sleep on my lap. She has the scratching post. She's sitting on beside me. It's not good enough for her. Princess demands more. Alright, so all you do is you take this and glue it. So you glue the gone piece here. I had a lot of glue. Probably too much. But since I had the My Sweet Petunia glue press, it's got pretty thin. Make sure your fold is the right way, because I've done that wrong once before too. And I'm just lining it up onto my card base like I would any layer. Okay, now we are going to take our layer that we made with our cake stencil, and that's going to be our background. Oh, Dora, you're fine. Another reason I like the stencil buzzer is it seems to dry pretty fast. So it needed to take me an hour to color my images, basically, but okay. And that just goes on this layer. And you can see that the paper, or the ink that I chose with the Marvelous Mocha and the Crimson matches pretty close to the cardstock layer. So that's why I did that. Now, on my instructions, I do have 3 1/4 by 2 1/4 pattern paper. That's where you can put it here and here. I'm just going to cut out another piece of my pretty sparkly paper. And so 3 1/4. Hey, not supposed to be scratching at the carpet. That's why you have a scratching post right there. That gives you attention. 3 1/4 by 2 1/4. Dora, stop. And I am just going to quickly grab my Misty back out, and I'm just going to stamp the sentiment. I should just grab a block, but I don't have one right now available. Oh yeah, to be fair, I have a pretty good kitty. Honestly, she doesn't do too many bad things. She doesn't climb on counters, she's usually doesn't scratch furniture too much. Maybe she does down here, and in the basement I don't really care that much. But I am going to grab our crisp crimson and our bubbly blue, and I'm just going to grab, you can just grab a random sentiment from the package. I like the one yum, and I'm just going to quickly stamp it all around here. Maybe I'll do and you're so sweet. If I do it, this is where a block would be probably better, but let's start with my and the M's are going to be in red. And we're just going to make a quick pattern paper out of our sentiments. And it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. It's going behind our image anyway, you're not going to see much of it. I'm actually okay if it's not perfectly aligned, just because it adds a little bit of character. It's a little girl in the image anyway, so. Okay, so here's the M's. Night night, good night. I know it's been kind of late. Thank you for joining me. And you're so sweet. And then we're almost done. Our card. Just going to stamp that one in blue. Thank you for all those who are watching along. And if you, oh, that one's. This paper doesn't like the light ink as much I find for sentiments. So sometimes I do have to stamp it twice. Like I said, I know this part's, you guys all know how to stamp. But I like to have a little bit of a pattern, and maybe I should have done this before we started our live, but at least you can see what I did if you're following along tomorrow. Okay. I'm going to go back to the M's, and I'm going to give a space so that aren't here all night. Said most of this could be covered up anyway, so if you just want to just put a piece of pattern paper there instead, go for it. That one's even on an angle, so here, we'll put this one on an angle too. Why not? Feel like I'm pulling a Delise right now of just kind of like, no worries. Just kind of winging it and see what I get. I just wanted some contrast on there. And then you're sweet, so sweet again. Just make sure it's stamping the right way. So readable. Don't care if it's straight or not, but I do care if it's not upside down. Well, it's just a quick way to make some pattern paper with what you have on hand. The other thing you could do is you could take your stencil, which I don't have the other piece right now, and you could use the little shimmery bits. I guess I can show you. These little bits, and you could just make them all different colors on your pattern paper down here. So that's another option too. You're so sweet. One more time. And I need one more, and then I think we're gonna glue our images together and call it a night. So probably what I would do is I would use one of the sentiments that are bigger for the inside of my card. Or I may go to a different stamp set and grab one of them. I tend to leave the inside last until I know who I'm making the card for, or who I'm giving the card for. Unless I'm sending it to Kim, then usually I just do the inside quickly before I send it off to her. I said one more. I feel like I need one right here. One more over here, and then we're good. There's our pattern paper. I will have this live tomorrow, or up on Facebook tomorrow after I'm done work. Not Facebook, sorry. It's live. It'll be live on Facebook instantly. I meant YouTube, for those who want to join our YouTube channel. We're eventually going to move over to YouTube. If the Facebook gods don't want us to stay on here. So, we'll see. But we are trying to post all of our videos onto... Oh, I didn't cut that right. Oh, well. That's what it is now. What did I do? This is why I have a hard time doing cutting at nighttime. Oh, I know what it was. It's because I didn't put a piece of... This is the same size as this. No, it's not. Well, whatever. So probably this piece, I think I was going by the instructions, which she added lots of layers on hers. This piece probably should be more like 4 inches across. Oh boy. That's okay, like I said. She's going to go right there. She's covering most of it anyway. That's kind of a waste of time. All right. Sorry, everybody. So you're just going to add glue. I don't glue the whole thing. I just add glue to the bottom half here. I'm going to put my image, maybe we don't have to be, well, I like it in the middle. Here she is. The nice thing about this card is you can always add things behind your images. So if you have like ephemera, maybe some balloons behind her would look really cool. If you wanted to add like just some stuff pointing out of here. But that's how we make this card. It's, again, fairly simple. I like it though because they can display it. I know it's kind of hard to see because it's... And on a glass table it does slide, but if it's on a shelf it'll just sit nicely on a shelf like that. So that's our card for tonight. Sorry for some of the mistakes. This is why we're live and not re-recorded, or I probably would have fixed that. So, hope you like the card. if you do something like, even if you go, I want to use the stencil, I want to use the stamp, I want to make a card like this, feel free to tag me. If you have any questions, feel free to tag me. I know I tend to rush these things. I think it's nerves. So one of these days I'll be a pro like Carla was. And it'll be good. So I forgot to mention that Made with Love, she did mention at the top that the stamp set is on sale this week, 40% off. And so you can get cute Lulu and Lucas and all the nice birthday sentiments that come with the set. Thanks, Deb. And then sorry, I don't have the second part of our stencil right now because it's sitting in the sink, but our Celebrate with Cake layering stencil is also on sale in the store for this week. I will go take a picture of my card and post it, but I hope you learned some new things, even if I messed up a little bit. At least we're making the card still. Things happen and it's okay. I still think she's cute. I still would give it to somebody, even though this piece should have been a bit longer. It's all good at the end of the day. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to tag me, and I will post this tomorrow on YouTube once I take a picture of my card. And I will be posting, for those who have joined, like who are part of Crafty Retreats, I will get some of my Crafty Retreats posted and put a link into our Crafty Retreat groups sometime to this weekend. I'm trying my best to get them all downloaded and uploaded onto YouTube as fast as I can in between my job. But I'm hoping to get a few more posted so that you guys have that. But I am downloading everything, so even if we get the notice saying, oh, your video is going to be deleted, I will have them all downloaded. It's just taking me a little bit of time to put them on YouTube. But I hope everyone has a good night, and thanks for sticking around. Appreciate those people who joined live, and for anybody watching the replay, I hope you have a great time. Thanks. Good night, everybody.